Hello, we are in SQL 102 and this is a 5-minute video for showing you what we would generally do in this session. In this session we would install MySQL Workbench, which is going to talk to the SQL Server backend. The SQL Server backend could be on your computer or it could be on AWS. So I'm here using Ubuntu, and this is an Ubuntu that's installed on virtual drive, and on that Ubuntu I have installed MySQL and MySQL Workbench. So to install MySQL, you need to run two commands, which is apt-get install MySQL server, and then you have to run the MySQL secure installation. Once you do that, then you have to configure the username that you have to use to log into MySQL Workbench. To do that, you have to go to the SQL shell by writing sudo MySQL and then create a username and password. If I were to do that using AWS, then I'll give you a username and password. So you don't need this username, root, and password as password. This is how the interface looks like. This is the software that acts as a front end where you can create procedures and functions and write code for SQL. It's an open source version. The other world would be SQL Server Microsoft, which is a different platform or a different paradigm to do SQL. In this case, on the left, you see all the database, and in the database, you can see all the stored procedures and function which we are going to create. So right now, the code that you see on the screen, the first line is use Joshi. This is going to switch to my database. The next line is creating a procedure, which is going to create a procedure P2, which does not take any argument, but that just prints hello world. And whenever I run this procedure, it's going to print hello world. This is the hello world procedure, and based on this build up, we have a lot of procedures that we would build in this session. The hard part of this is to configure and make everything work, and once everything is working, then we can dive deeper into different kind of procedures. Some procedures take in some arguments, some procedures don't take in argument, and in the similar way, there are procedures that spits off something and there are procedures that don't return something. And we would look at all these variations, and we are going to create all these procedures, and once the procedures are done, then we are going to look at functions, and functions are the same, but functions are used when you want to use it with the select command. So the functions goes the concept goes like this. First you have to give the input and you have to define what the function is going to return. Many of the time somebody asks you difference between function and procedure. So the difference is that function returns something and procedures don't return anything. We could have a dead procedure that just print, but functions have to return, and we would capture what the function is returning. To start to test that, we are going to run this very simple function called getScore, which takes in two arguments and then gets you the output. So I'm going to run this function code in MySQL Workbench. The first part is to create the function, and the next part is to use that function. Now, if you were to ever search these code, if they are giving error, the procedure is straightforward. If you search this on Google, then you can find many examples that are doing the same. And once you go there, you can copy that and you can run those functions. So the goal for this session generally is to understand all the functions and to create different type of functions and delve into the code and change the code. I have a screenshot on slide 3 where I am talking about, and if you see down, this is free hosting for MySQL and a username and a password. In that case, this MySQL Workbench gets connected to the online hosted database, and there we can create functions and procedures. And then we would do a very simple example of SQLite. So this is a very brief summary of what we do in the SQL 102 session. I hope you liked it. Thank you for watching. गड़बड़ हो रही है, रिकॉर्ड नहीं हुआ, बीच में बंद हो गया। हाँ वो तो मुझे भी पता है, लेकिन रिकॉर्ड क्यों नहीं हो रहा? ठीक है, तो मैं आपको लिख के देता हूँ, आप बोलो। तो रिकॉर्ड ही नहीं हुआ, कुछ गड़बड़ हो रही है।